Hello, I'm Syukri. Today I'm going to give a speech about informative speech education, students' aggression. It is solely the students' fault for their aggressive behavior. Has anyone ever thought hard what turns them into who they are before pointing finger? It is so often that people put the blame on the students alone for their aggression that they fail to see the underlying reasons why it happens at the first place. These students whom we see on the surface hurting others and disrupting the class are actually in pain themselves. Haven't you heard that it is always those with dreadful stories are the one likely to also put others in the same situation? These students are not exception. In fact, they could be screaming for help all this while, and yet we take no signal from it and pretend it is nothing. We rather opt for negative reinforcement more than anything, believing young blood they possess in their bodies to be the root of the problem and nothing else. In other words, we have the audacity to complete the students' rebellion as something they bring upon themselves. This shows how ignorant our society can be and how damaging it is to the students who unfortunately have to face such thing on their own. And so it is pivotal for all of us, not only educators, to always take students' aggression seriously by enlightening ourselves what aggression among students really is, the factors behind it, and the brilliant solution to deal with them. Aggression is a psychological characteristic of intention to hurt others. This explains that any unintended or accident infliction of harm on others cannot be rightly classified as aggression behaviors, because the perpetrator should be aware and believe that their behavior will harm the target. Either it takes the form of physical aggression or verbal aggression. So, what does it mean by physical and verbal aggression? Physical aggression refers to inflicting injury on others. Meanwhile, verbal aggression entails using words that are intended to harm another person. However, I would like to point out here that these two types of aggression are both disastrous. Although the latter seems to much be less serious, only because it won't leave any visible injury. Ladies and gentlemen, students of today are different from the students of recent decades. It cannot be denied that many of them are both aggressive and violent. Even educators who are dealing with these students may expose to danger at some point. Therefore, it is almost obligatory for each of one of us, especially educators, to delve deeper into this very issue. When it comes to aggressive behavior among students in schools, it usually takes the form of an overreaction, screaming or shouting. Apart from that, it also takes the form of quarreling, insubordination, bullying, or destruction of school property. All this behavior can be easily affect anyone, especially those weak and innocent students. Hence, educators have to always watch out every time and be more conscious of what is happening in the classroom rather than focusing on completing the syllabus alone. It is a duty of educator to pay attention to each of students' welfare and treat them equally. Educators are taught to become earliest to pinpoint any usually behavior going around in the classroom. This is because students' aggression brings upon horrible consequences to many parties, be it visible or non-visible. For instance, take a close look at the innocent souls who have no choice but to be punching back for those aggression students. What has become of them really? Bruises and wounds all over. Not to mention the terror they have to live for the rest of their life. My heart goes out these poor kids. They definitely don't deserve such treatment in the first place. Imagine being in their shoes, going to school with bunch of hopes and dreams, yet in just a single glance, everything is destroyed and they are left with nothing but scars. Sure, perhaps some school authorities do pay attention to these poor students, help them as best as they can and take what considered as the right measure for the one at fault. However, there are still many schools which ignore such harassment and tell the student to handle the victimization on their own. Some educators believe the aggression is a natural part of growing up and that nothing could be done it or have to. The distress the students feel from getting picked on is only seen as minimal and that they are told to stand up for themselves or simply walk away. Although educators may deny this and believe that they respond to most cases involving aggression behaviors between their students, research advocated that educator intervention is actually infrequent. As a result, those aggressors may take this inaction as a signal for them to go even wilder. For that reason, I believe that we should also start listening to the bad students and see to ourselves what they have to say. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we should let the things slide, but at least try to have a talk with them first, then before jumping to decision to punish. Why? This is because I believe that by taking care of what exactly made this student to go aggressive, what should the issue be fully solved? Some goes to those aggressive students who refuse to do any of the work assigned or participate in the classroom activities and at the same time acting rude towards the educator. I believe this should be closely examined as well, although most educators would either just let them be or give an earful. This is because it is not about how educators should deal with aggression in the classroom alone, but it also involves the future of these students. If the situation goes for too long, their academic performance would also go downhill. However, what exactly made this student to go aggressive? Aggression is highly developed through the environment in which one was raised. Lack of affection and the uses of corporal punishment at home could affect how children become later in life. In a household in which physical punishment is practiced, but are more prone to develop aggressive tendencies than those who under the care is non-corporal punishment household. This is because throughout their life, they find themselves to be the outlet for adult aggression to the point they consider such behavior as acceptable, causing them to also hurt others and violent at school. Apart from that, things such as lecturing the child or blaming them for a mistake can lead to aggression. The frustration of not being heard as a child triggers one to physical contact to better convey their feelings, just to defend themselves. The struggles they have to go through in a way have made them into thinking that no one will listen to them unless violence is involved. Also, parents who often make their children feel as though they become some sort of disappointment are likely to raise aggression children as well, just because their children develop from is expected of them. Parents bluntly use negative communication habits toward them, such as accusing, blaming, shaming, commanding, and ordering. This could result the children to become inferior and have low self-esteem, in which drive them to suppress their feeling and look at things negatively. Ladies and gentlemen, when individuals keeps everything to themselves, they will surely reach their limit eventually and unable to control themselves. Same goes to these children. Only God knows how much they have held in all this time and tried their best to fight with their inferiority. Yet in the end, they fail to do so and start losing control. Their lack of self-control is what lead them to develop aggressive behavior. What else? In what kind of environment will somehow turn students into become aggressive? I would say depression. Children living with depressive parents who display negative, unsupportive, and withdrawn behaviors toward them will surely not live in peace either. This is because one's mental health is highly influenced of those who is close to them. Knowing how they have been living in a household where parents are not emotionally stable, it is safe to say that the children too many develop symptoms of depression due to they receive from their dysfunctional parents. Finally, after going through poor supervision and neglect from individuals who should have care about them, these children turn aggressive and start creating problems in school as to release whatever they have bottled up on their own size. Besides, a student is also at a risk from being aggressive in her or she become from family with lower socioeconomic status. I'm not saying when one become from an unfortunate family, they will ruin themselves. What I mean was the struggles of life sometimes may turn people into someone they don't even want to. This kind of student are likely to grow up with aggression, for they feel it's unfair that they are only one in torture. While it took other parents money to get any meal on the day, it took them such effort to search for job themselves to even buy meals. That's how it's difficult it is for them to survive. Imagine how to also face people in school mocking them for life they didn't even ask for. Thus, what exactly should an educator do when responding to verbal or physical aggression from a student? If any of them stand out from the rest for being highly aggression, we are doing and our society no favor by ignoring in. All that educator should live by, be kind, be consistent, and remember that change take time. In order to break this cycle of aggression, educator must establish a one-on-one relationship with those students who struggle with aggression tendencies. This is what educators should opt to rather than lecturing them in class and having other students as witness. This is because when you personally talk it out with the aggressor alone and listen to their story attentively, they will receive the full attention. They will feel much more comfortable and respected. It is their hope to be treated as human beings, not some sort of troublemakers. Believe me, no matter how much mess they have made, seeing their reputation to sink even lower in the last thing they would ask for, especially in front of their peers. Avoid power struggles in which one compete with another for control. Educator should never ignore. An imperative An appropriate aggression occurring in the classroom, however, do not get so couched in winning and controlling the students. That's not how it's work, because all the students need to know we care about them. Hence, it is not used to prove who has much more power and who don't. Next, be firm but gentle. It is a must for educator to be firm so that the message is delivery, but know that the student who exhibit aggressive behavior can definitely handle it. Therefore, what they really want is the right kind of attention educator could offer gentleness. Other than that, search for positive in them. What does it mean by this is providing immediately and positive feedback whenever they are behaving well. As time goes by, we will be able to see them diminishing their own aggressive behaviors. Lastly, help them own it. Educator must convince these students that they can actually take control of their own behavior and handle such conflict the next time. As a wrap, both verbal and physical aggression have been a critical concern of mankind. If it stays in our society for too long, especially in school, without intervention from any parties, it will surely bring detrimental effect to the population, not just the student alone. Therefore, it is a must for us to start taking this issue seriously and consider aggressors to victim to be examined their upbringing for it is not entirely their fault. If we look at it close enough, that's all from me. Thank you.